Once I start getting money, it's fuck the community. Because a wise man stores up an inheritance for his children's children. Nowhere does it say it's the community.
A lot of people get sucked into a bad community, and it makes them, it destroys them. And so it's really hard to give back to a community that innately isn't necessarily that good or wholesome, and a lot of times will seek to take from you.
When he didn't have money, he was actually trying to help the community, and that's why he was broke. I'm pretty sure that's what he was saying.
But it's like, I don't know, if you got kids at home, why would you be out doing things that's not making money?
What's poppin', everybody?
Welcome back to the Cold Popcast.
I'm Zoe.
And I'm Steve.
And today we're going to be reviewing a comment that Charleston White made on I'm guessing, one of his recent episodes, and his take on the idea of helping the community and whether or not that is something that most people should be concerned with, or if that's kind of like a broke person mentality.
Yeah, Charleston White, he's got a lot of hot takes, but in this one, he's basically saying that looking out for the community is not something that people that have money should do, because you got to set up an inheritance for your own family. Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and watch the video and see what he has to say.
Once I start getting money, it's fuck the community. Only people who think about community is broke motherfuckers. Motherfucker with money don't give a damn about fixing the community, because a wise man stores up an inheritance for his children's children. Nowhere does it say it's the community. Fuck the community. That's a broke motherfucker's behavior. And I was broke when I was doing that.
But don't people look at that as you turning your back on the community?
I am. Because guess what I was doing? Every day I was walking out that door to go help the community, I was turning my back on my children, my nigga, when I wasn't storing up no inheritance. And I was coming back home broke. Spending all that goddamn time and energy and emotions and mental and psychological. I'm giving all that to the community with no return. Walking back home, nigga. Daddy, can we go get some ice cream? No, Dad ain't got it. So, come on, homie. I was turning my back on them. Not only that, I was turning my back on myself, my nigga. So fuck the community, nigga. The community don't care about the community.
It's so well thought out, and he just ends it like that.
Yeah. I like it.
I got to say, personally, just based on how he put it, I got to say I agree.
No. I mean, I wholeheartedly say he makes very good points. And, as a black person, I kind of know exactly where he's coming from, because a lot of black people, not to say we're a monolith, but if you go off the modern idea of black culture being very entrenched in inner cities and hoods, it's a lot of them a lot of black people tend to come from communities that don't necessarily cultivate or are very I would say helpful or good, and they tend to try to a lot of people get sucked into a bad community, and it makes them it destroys them. And so it's really hard to give back to a community that innately isn't necessarily that good or wholesome, and a lot of times will seek to take from you.
Right. They
what
just
part of the community though?
Well, a good example is if there's a food pantry, right? They'll take from the food pantry as much as they possibly can, but they'll never show up if they do have some money to donate or something like that.
And it's even people successful people who's I want to get out of the hood. It's no one. It's because the hood is literally the thing keeping them down a lot of times. They want to escape the hood, because if they don't, the hood's gonna kill them. It's that type of mentality. I think that he's kind of coming from, where it's the only people you ever hear really talking about it a lot of times are the people that kind of use that to obfuscate or to basically shift blame or responsibility. It's rather than saying what I can do for my community, I ask what can my community do for me. It's the same mentality you see people who, if you talk to someone who's how do we address this problem? It's I ain't gotta worry about that. That's all for the government to figure out. Some ratchet person that talks like that.
I wonder what he was doing for the community. He said he was doing things for the community. What was he talking about? I'm curious.
I don't know. That's
a good question. I mean, I guess, I don't know. It would only be speculation, but maybe he's the type of person that might have tried to do he seems like the type of person that may have liked to volunteer to coach the local baseball team. I can see him going to coach the basketball team and being I'm trying to give back, but then these little nigglets don't show up, and
what if we had a coach
and then the parents don't want to pay me anymore, stuff like that.
Yeah.
What if one of our coaches was like that, bro? Steve. That'd be hilarious if he was actually struggling though, but he was coaching us. Like,
Yeah, he's
that'd
actually
be
out there.
crazy.
He's out there hustling, but he got to coach these little assholes that don't want to show up to
Yeah.
practice, don't want to get good grades, don't want to do nothing good.
I guess it's
Yeah.
like, for me, it's like, what part of the community is he specifically referencing? Like, what if you're like giving away your access food or something, or stuff like that? Is like, that's not really a
I would have
effort-based thing.
I would assume my guess is that he's talking about like the very generalized idea of the community, like the people on your street, and it's like you know representing the community. So I would say like the community, from what I think he's coming from, is like, you know, the neighbors that see you come back and you're doing good, and it's like, hey man, like when you gonna like come over to the party, or like when you gonna like give back, you know, help us out, you know I'm over here struggling, my lights been out for a week, like, you know, let me
okay.
like I kind of think that's maybe what he's talking about. That
Doing
type
I
of
was under the impression that he was talking about like when he didn't have money, he was actually trying to help the community, and that's why he was broke. I'm pretty sure that's what he was saying.
But it's like, I don't know, if you got kids at home, why would you be out doing things that's not making money?
I mean, some people do that. Some people want to just feel fulfilled and have purpose and be, you know, it's like a clout thing. Like they want to get clout in the community by helping people and like volunteering and doing a bunch of stuff. But if you got kids or if you got people that depend on you, I think it's like, man, fuck the community.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, I think that you should serve the community in some way.
Yeah, I don't think you have to give like money or. I mean, time is important, but there's not things that you have to physically give to help the community.
Right.
I would say don't take it too literal though. When he's like, if you're not making money, like what would you give? Is like he's like a wealthier person, I would assume, at this point in his life. Like any rich person that says like not making money, that just means like if you're making minimum wage, you're not making money. You know? Yeah. You know, basically if you're not rich or you're not like have excess wealth, then you're not really making money. I think he's talking like that. Like if you're not like, if you don't have enough money to give to a bunch of other people and you're basically just getting by yourself, then like why wouldn't you focus on yourself instead of like, you know, and then like try to do the community.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
And I get that. I'm like, yeah, like take care of yourself first before you take care of other people.
Yeah.
Now, his take on whether or not like you should never get back to the community, I can see why that mentality would develop. So I can agree with him there, because a lot of times people look to escape a community because even Ice Cube, I think, had an interview where he actually went back. They had asked him like, because he had got successful, moved back to like his hometown, and then he moved again. And in an interview, they asked like, why'd you end up like leaving your hometown? He's like, have you ever attempted to give back? And he's like, I did. I actually moved back there for like a year. And they're like, but I had to move out. And he was like, why? He's like, because I kept getting robbed. They get robbing them. So just like a lot of times people come from communities that are like so inherently broken at its core that it's like not one person giving back can ever change the mentality. It's like you can have good intentions, but you know, it's like having good intentions to a person that can't help but, you know, be a bad person. It's like, yeah, at some point it's like they're just, you can give to them, but they're still going to want to take from you. You can't help them. And I can see like having that mentality with neighborhoods, but I feel like the only way those neighborhoods change is if like the collective mentality changes, and that's going to take a lot of work.
How do you do that though? Like,
It's
such
that's very hard to
massive
do.
problem, especially in like Chicago.
100%.
Church.
I'm just wondering, like, how do you do it?
Take them to church.
Take them. Hey, Steve's got the
There's
answer.
a church on it.
Get them in
There's
church.
several churches on every block of Chicago.
Right.
bro.
And
Single
churches.
block.
and ain't nobody going to them. That's the problem.
Those people probably aren't.
Yeah, ain't nobody going to the churches, bro. We got a church on
said
83rd
several
Street.
churches.
Ain't nobody from that whole neighborhood in that church. It's all people from 30 or 40 minutes away.
That's true.
So
I guess so.
You know, the churches might exist, but that doesn't mean they're populated.
But yeah, I'm like, I understand where it's coming from, but I mean, if you really want to address like how to like fix it, I don't have the answer. I mean, I could easily say like, oh, it just takes like multiple people doing it. Like everyone just has to have a huge mentality shift. But
Right.
honestly, but here's the thing. I think generally like the only way for that to happen is for people to like have owners. I think people aren't forced to learn. They learn through adversity. So I think kind of having a mentality is like, hey, every man for himself. I think maybe that's probably the quickest route to kind of get everyone on the same page, because once everyone's like known adversity and realize that like the only way out of this is to help myself first, I think that in itself could like build people into the right direction to where it's like now you have a culture of onus and like self-reliance and building. And then once everyone's kind of on the same page, I think that's when community is formed.
But what if by helping yourself, you're, messing somebody else, screwing
you're
somebody else
selling
over?
drugs.
You're selling drugs, you're stealing somebody's car, you're robbing people, you rob, 7 people a day, so you get your money that way.
I was gonna make that point too, actually.
Oh,
Like, there's a lot of ways you can only specifically help yourself, but just completely ruin it for so many other people.
You can.
So there's like a collective. You have to have like some
It's
level
such a
of a
hard
collective mentality, I guess. Like
True.
we all are part of a overarching category of individuals, and doing what's best for the people around me is going to serve me well. Like you need to have some kind of moral integrity or actual values to.
I guess in a metaphor space, it's like, okay, you have a dirty pond, but if you drop some sort of like let's say some cleaning solution that automatically purifies like a small, little drop of the pond, it's like, okay, you can purify a certain part of the pond, but the rest of it's probably going to still turn dirty or remain dirty. So how do you purify the whole thing so that it remains like clean at the end of the day?
Yeah. Well, at that point, you need like a filtering system. You need a system to be put in place, I guess.
You gotta reprogram them.
Yeah, you got to start from like
reprogram all these people.
the bottom.
Yeah.
You got to destroy a little bit of the land infrastructure, put something new there. Make sure everyone's cool with this new system in place, and then let the filter happen. But
Sounds like religion to me.
yeah, we need a great filtering. I think. Like, what would be like a great filtering for like the black community?
I don't know. It's the answer I've been trying to think of for a long time.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
Yeah, it's hard. But like I said, I think I see where he's coming from, but I don't think that should. Like the goal should be to have community, because communities are like how things are built and how people actually thrive. You can't. I guess you really can't build that on too much individualism, because eventually one individual could hurt another, and then it's like that's not how you bring everyone up. So yeah, I guess I don't have an answer. I can just kind of vouch for what he's saying to an extent, but I think that shouldn't be how we think, and I think community is important. I don't think at the end of the day, I don't think like you should just outcast community, but I think before you think about like helping the community or like just pushing your problems off to it, first focus on yourself, and then when you have the ability to give back, that's when you give back.
I agree with that.
True. True. I agree.
Yeah. Anyone else? I know I've been talking a lot. I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. Yeah, no, man. I think that great filter you're talking about is definitely religion. It's like, what else would work? Leezy said he's been thinking about it for a long time.
Well, I don't
said,
know.
like, what
religion
is
is
it?
great and all,
And
but
it's
it's been
like-
around for excruciatingly long amount of time.
Yeah, but it's not. It just has to be applied thoroughly and effectively across the entire country.
Yeah, like by force.
Across the entire country.
I mean,
By force, yeah. That would
force.
probably get the job done.
By force will work.
That's true, yeah.
Technically.
I mean, yeah, that's true. It would work.
It worked before.
Maybe serum retention is the answer. Maybe we all just stop jerking off.
Yeah, we probably gotta stop nutting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'll fix
that.
it.
Yeah, man.
He's like, man, I want to go.
If you forced everyone in the hood to go to church, I think we had this conversation before on My Black Friends actually.
I don't
But if
think
you
so.
but if you forced every person in the hood to go to church, right, and they didn't have the option not to go, you couldn't force them to believe because it's their internal faith.
Yeah.
But do you think there would be a better outcome in the hood for people if they were like obligated to go once a week to a church?
I mean, maybe. I think that
School.
I think that most children should, or like I feel like going to the military should be a part of the school curriculum. And I don't mean like, don't get me wrong, I don't know jarhead type
I like
stuff.
that,
I
actually.
mean like just going for a
I like
year.
that.
Learning what discipline means. You
I
know
think
what I'm
that's
saying?
like mandatory in Korea.
Okay.
It makes
Israel.
sense. And I mean at a young age.
South
I don't mean
Korea.
like
Yeah.
college. I mean like early. You need to know what discipline is. You know
That's
what I'm
true.
saying?
Yeah.
I like
then
that.
we'd have a
actually.
bunch of children in the military.
Well, Steve, I
They
think
wouldn't be doing
I
that.
don't think so, because
My-
it's not like they not trying to tell you like they're not leading you to be a soldier or to be in the military in the future. They just teaching you some important lessons in life, like discipline.
Wait, Steve, my
Yeah,
thing is,
no.
are you okay with a culture that is basically like pretty much just like the Crusades of like the 16th century? Because anything that you want to enforce, you'd have to be willing to punish. So basically, you're talking about a society where we force people to go to church, and if they don't go to church, that means they have to be punished. So like, what
Well,
type
all I'm
punish-
saying is that existence in the hood is punishment already. So if there was an alternative that would require people to be forced to go to church, they would probably benefit from it. I'm not saying that we should actually have that type of egalitarian society.
Okay.
But I'm also saying that if it did happen,
Like if everyone just
and you
unilaterally
did-
agreed to go to church, then it would be a better society.
yeah, people would have more moral integrity.
Yeah.
There'd be less robs, thefts, murders. all
I get
types of different
that,
stuff.
but see, my thing is with that is like it's one thing to frame that as like a system, or one thing to frame that as like, wouldn't it be great if we all did? Because I'm like, you can get the same results if everyone just decided like, hey, we should all get jobs. Hey, we should all just not skip school. Like you get the same results.
Not really.
I think you
What
would.
job teaches moral integrity?
I don't know, any job that wants to make money, or at least a level of discipline. I would assume they would want to teach.
Okay, but what does discipline mean in the sense of a community? You can be a disciplined drug dealer, a disciplined murderer.
Well, that's why I
you can
said
have discipline in
well,
a whole lot of different things.
I
but-
know that, but my thing is like we're saying that like everyone just agrees to go get actual jobs, not be drug dealers. Just like how everyone's just agreeing to go to church.
Right, but you can have a job and be a bad person. You can be a Christian and be a bad person too. But at the same time, the job won't teach you how to be a good person. It'll teach you how to work a job.
But I mean, it's about society, right? Like you can be a bad. There's a lot of bad people in society, and you can still get like decent results as long as everyone's doing like their job.
Right, but we want good people. That's the whole issue we're talking about here. The
But do we do-
community having a bunch of bad people in it.
Huh? Well, like I said, I think you can do the same thing if we just like force people to do like alternatives to church. Like church, yes, is good morally, but my thing is like if we're talking about like how to build a society, a productive society, you can probably get the same result if everyone just decided to get a job. Like if everyone just decided to go work at the steel mill, it's like we'd have a whole lot of steel, which means a whole lot of houses. Steel mill.
I don't know about that one. So
Just example, but I'm just saying, like,
that.
I don't. That's my thing, and my thing. That's why I'm like, you could say that, but you could apply that. So I'm like, if you're saying we should just enforce people to go to church, then I'm just like, are you good with living back in the Crusades, to where if you don't go to church, we like stone you, or you get put in prison because that's basically the society you're acting
I don't
for.
think they did that in the Crusades. They just killed Muslims. It's different. They didn't like stone.
Did
Christians
they like
for not
burn
going to
Joan
church.
of Arc? Like, did she get like burned at the stake?
I don't know, actually.
She did. She
Yeah.
literally was a part of the crusade. She wanted to fight against the church, and she got burned at the stake.
Joan of Arc.
Yeah.
That's
Look
her
up.
story? I thought she was like on a boat or something.
No. You're thinking of Noah's Ark. Joan
John d'Arc.
Yeah, Joan of
She's in
Arc.
a lot of animes.
She is. Yeah, she was a female crusader, really big name. Died.
So
a
why was
horrible
she
death.
killed by the Crusade? If she was a crusader, why was she killed by the...
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember the exact thing, but I do know she had like she was a rebel. I don't know if it was for or against the church, but like her ending was like she fought against some type of system, Christian system, and got burned.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't agree that jobs would be the same as church, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Maybe we can continue that in the next episode.
Yeah, let's talk about that one.
Next episode of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys, thanks for watching this episode of the Cold Podcast. Did anyone else have anything?
No, not really.
All right, you can find us on all social media platforms at The Cold Podcast. Also on all audio and video platforms, YouTube, Rumble, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Patreon, $5 a month gets you access to all of our catalog of My Black Friends podcast and any other exclusive content that we create. Thanks for popping in. We got to pop out of here.
All right. Peace.
You don't care about the community.